here. I'll do that again. My name is Leah Willis. It's great to see you here. Thank you so much for being here. There are a phenomenal number of speakers that you could be listening to right now and things that you could be participating in. So I'm really grateful that you're here with me. We're going to talk today about how connections shape culture. And I'll just introduce myself a little bit. Again, my name is Leah Willis. I have a PhD in biology. And, I'm a scientist. I'm a total science person. And so you might be wondering why I would choose to talk about how connections shape culture. And it really does go back to some data. As I work at Colorado Technical University, I'm a lead faculty in science there. And we have rolling 5-week sessions at CTU. And we were finishing up one session. So we had students who were, just ecstatic, happy that they completed their science courses. They were happily surprised that they enjoyed their science courses at CTU. I teach environmental science, and I oversee, quite a few faculty as well who teach environmental science. And we really bring it to the students. We make it relevant. Anyway, so they had a really good time in class. And with the sciences and sometimes math and even sometimes English, students, bring in some things that they had growing up. Maybe they didn't like it so much. They weren't super excited about it. But then they make it through in their college experience, and they're really excited and they're proud of themselves, and they've done it. They've done what they didn't think they could do. And so there was this dialogue with our students in our last discussion board of our session, of our term in our class. And it's where the students look back on the class and they talk about their favorite topics. They talk about what they liked most, if they still had questions. And a lot of their responses to each other are, great job. You did what you didn't think you could do. And you should be really proud of that. Congratulations, getting a step closer to graduation and that type of thing. And our faculty too are reaching out to the students at that same time, saying things like, congratulations, you're a step closer to graduation. You're doing great. You're going to reach your goals, and these kind of positive and uplifting messages through our messaging system and email and that type of thing. And then at the same time, we're starting another session, so another term of class, and we have our introductory discussion board. So our Unit 1 discussion board, where students come in and they talk about themselves a little bit, and sometimes they're nervous about science, but they talk a little bit about what they've come through to get to where they are. And students are saying things like, wow, you're an inspiration. You've come through so much. I'm sure you can keep this up and, or reach your goals. And so there was this very continuous kind of positive dialogue happening. And it happened from our faculty to our students, and it's happening from our students to our students. And so to see that permeate our culture and really how those connections with each other, with faculty and students, and also with students amongst themselves, is really shaping our culture. And so I tried to kind of think through why is this happening? What are some challenges? What are some opportunities for us to really explore how these connections shape culture, and things and ways that we can use this to help continue to shape culture in a positive direction. So that is a little bit about why I'm a science person. My background is in forensic DNA of all things, but that's a little bit about why I really wanted to explore how connections shape culture. And this is a contribute engagement type of discussion, so I will be asking quite a few questions. It's hard for me to stay quiet, but I will do my best to let you all have a chance to chime in and have this opportunity to engage. So our agenda is simple. We're going to talk about culture, we're going to talk about connections, and we're going to talk about how we can make that difference. We'll discuss different things that are going on at our various universities, so we can have a more collective understanding of these types of things. So our academic culture, it kind of starts with a definition. According to this definition, it has to do with our academic culture. It has to do with our academic values, roles, assumptions, attitudes, and patterns of behavior that are common to the learner's culture. And so these are all things that we in a school, in a university, we contribute to. At CTU, we recently got a slideshow that had some of our cultural, our value statements and that kind of thing. And I really love this slide. It says, our culture, it's who we are today, it's who we aspire to be tomorrow, and everyone plays a vital role. So it's not, one person's attitude can make a difference and they can go in and break through barriers and things like that, but it really is about everyone. And we can all participate in, a positive culture. So it was interesting to me to see kind of that definition of culture and how our attitudes, our patterns of behavior play a role in that. Our mission statement at CTU really sums up what we aim to do for our students. And we're unified, both students and faculty are unified by this common mission. And our mission statement at CTU is the following: our mission is to provide industry relevant higher education to a diverse student population through innovative technology and experienced faculty, enabling the pursuit of personal and professional goals. And I know that that is a mouthful, but we can break it down into those discrete pieces. We want to provide industry relevant higher education. So ways to bring that material to the students. So for example, in environmental science, we have a lot of folks who are going into business, and we talk about sustainability. Where are you going to get your materials? How are you going to package those materials or your goods or whatever it is you may be manufacturing or selling? And bringing that to the students in a way that relates to their goals. We have an incredibly diverse student population, which we value deeply. And we want to reach our students. We want to reach them as best we can. And part of that is that communication that we'll talk about in a little bit. We have some great technology. We have a messenger system where we're able to direct message the students through the classroom. And that's been of tremendous value in reaching and communicating with our students. And we have some phenomenal experienced faculty. Not only do they know their content, but they also know how to relate to students and how to talk with students and connect with students, which is really what we're finding out to be that kind of missing piece, that core important part of reaching our students. And finally, but not last at all, enabling our students their pursuit of their personal and professional goals. So helping them to reach their goals, meeting them where they are and helping them move forward. And we do that through instilling confidence and competence. And we'll talk through a little bit about that in a little while, but that also plays a role. We have an instructional framework that's made up of these 4 pieces: instructor presence in the classroom, instructor engagement in the classroom, so getting into the classroom, making connections with students, introducing relevance like we've talked about before, and also innovation, so ways that we can bring what we're learning outside of the classroom into the class. Like today, I just learned about the 360 videos. And I'm so excited to bring that to my next science class. I don't know if any of you were in that talk. It was the multimedia and global perspectives talk. It was phenomenal, and looking forward to bringing that into the classroom. I've also learned a bunch of stuff here already today, or even yesterday too, with the presence in the classroom. So trying to do the lighting, and my office is in disrepair right now, but I did try to piece together so I could have a nice presentation for you and be present here in the presentation. So a lot of these things, go into reaching our students and connecting with others. I would love it if you all would share your institution and your mission statement. If you wouldn't mind typing that into the chat pod, or you could even say it if it is rather lengthy, like ours is at CTU.
Would you like to monitor the chat, or would you like me to?
I have it up, but yeah.
Okay.
Anyway. There we go. Yeah, sometimes it takes a while to type those in, right? build dreams and transform lives by providing lifelong educational programs that strengthen our community. Wow, I love that, Lee. Thank you so much for sharing that. Columbia Gorge Community College, transforming lives. And that's what we're doing. We reach those lives, we reach those individuals, and we transform them by instilling that confidence and competence and strengthening them. That's amazing. I love that. A diverse community and opportunity to gain quality higher education and achieve personal and professional success in a supportive and inclusive environment. Wow, Aziz, that's a great one. I love that, how they, you call out specifically a supportive and inclusive environment. That's absolutely a big part of it. And interestingly, I went to talk earlier today too about inclusivity and the instructional practices. And one of the things I took away from that was kindness. It really is, it's not rocket science. You don't have to have, a scientific background or whatever, you don't have to have a PhD to know that kindness is really a core part of relating to people and caring about them. And I have some specific examples of how that has played out in our classrooms at CTU as well here in a bit, but I love that, supportive and inclusive. Okay, I'll have to look at that. I don't know if I can open that right now, Robert. Is that, let's see. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if a video will start or anything, but thank you for sharing that. I'll take a look at that. So our mission statement really serves to unite all of us. And, with experienced faculty, we have a lot of strong opinions sometimes, and we bring that through, and that's great, having convictions in the classroom and things like that. But we can always go back to that unified statement where we're doing our best to help our students reach their goals. Okay, so let's talk about some challenges with the definition of culture. So we talked a little bit ago about the definition, which involves our attitudes, accepting things how they are, or are we always improving things? Are we still doing what we did 5 years ago because it worked then, or are we trying to do new things all the time? Roles, do we know what role we play? Do we know how to move ideas forward? Do we know what our supervisor, what their role is, and then maybe the committees that they're on, that they could help, promote some type of positive movement there in our culture? Values, intrinsically, what do we live and operate by? What do we want? Why are we doing this? What's in it for us? Patterns of behavior, the practices and habits, things that we do. Are we consistently in the classroom because that's our habit every day as we're drinking our coffee, or do we only jump in a couple times a week, that kind of thing. So can anybody share some challenges that we might face with our culture? Oh, thanks, Robert. Yeah, we teach at the same place. What classes do you teach at CTU?
I am a doctoral graduate student mentor.
Wow, fantastic. I love it. And so important to have that mentorship and guidance from all different levels.
I've been in education for a number of years, so some of the things you're talking about, I'm quite familiar with. So I thought I'd join you because of it being related to CTU. So,
well, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate that. And it's interesting because, you're working at the doctoral level, and I work in the College of General Education and Psychology, which is the very first step that students take into their university experience at CTU. And so, we have, again, the same goals to help our students reach their, personal and professional goals. But we go about it a little differently, because by the time they get to the doctoral level, they know their content, they want to know stuff, they know exactly how they're going to use it, type of thing. But in general education, sometimes that's still open. They want to pursue their degree. They're not exactly sure sometimes how they might use it, but they know that that's what they want to do. And so we're here to kind of help instill that confidence and competence at that first level. So I love to see that, we're all aligned throughout the university.
Well, we can share that later. I would be happy to talk to you about that.
Perfect. Okay, and then some maybe opportunities for that culture, for building that culture. Remote education doesn't have to be distant. We don't have to, just email every so often or only if there's a problem. We really need to be in the class, have some presence in there, prove to the students that we're in it, we're here for you. And so maybe some ideas for a positive culture, promoting positive culture, is a commitment to continuous improvement. And that's something that, at CTU right now, we are always asking for feedback from faculty and students alike. And that could be through surveys. It could be through, reporting up. So whoever your supervisor is, giving them your ideas for curriculum improvement or technical improvement. We just had a learning management system upgrade recently that was a tremendous value to the students and to the faculty. So we are always trying to improve, even though maybe our course isn't ready for a curriculum update tomorrow. If we start to gather that information over time, we can have a plan when the time comes, so we're always wanting to improve every aspect of what we do, and our instruction, not to minimize instructional strategies, because that goes a long way. Our roles, again, understanding college leadership structure. Who do we go to for certain things, or what committee is the best one to reach out to, or to maybe get involved in to help, share our ideas and our insights. And then our patterns of behavior, trying new things. This, again, usually I go to the data. This is a little bit outside of my comfort zone, giving a talk on, something cultural and also with, communicating and that type of thing, because I love data, I love numbers and graphs. So trying new things is always good. And it levels the playing field a little bit. I remember when we first started in Zoom, one of my instructors had a tough time in Zoom. And one of the students walked him through it. He just said, these are the buttons you're seeing right now. Go ahead and push this one. And the student was happy to do it. And it really helped, and everybody was laughing by the end of it, because it was just such a unifying experience, because everybody does something new once in a while, and we all kind of have, wins, and we all have failures. And it's good to try something new and let everybody see that, I don't have all the answers. I don't know it all, but I'm going to try it anyway, and we're going to get this. So any ideas for how to create a cultural opportunity here? So how to maybe improve our attitudes, understanding our roles more effectively, patterns of behavior. I love this quote by John Maxwell, that's change is inevitable, growth is optional. So we can use that change as an opportunity for growth. So any ideas there on how we can help create an opportunity?
Leah, when you said you have to educate the student on how to use the course platform, what do you think about having an onboard presentation for all new students, teaching them not only the insights like faculty go through to learn the course platform, but also to learn how to use Word effectively, how to use the library and some of the search tools available. So many students, as you know, tend to go to Google and do a search that way, but there are lots of other good research tools out there. And just having students become familiar with those before they get into a course or even start an online program, just becoming familiar with some of the tools that are out there.
I think that's a great idea. At CTU, we do have the UNIV 104 course, which is our student success course. So it's the very first course that students take at CTU, and it does help with a lot of what you're saying, with the learning management system, understanding how to navigate our the adaptive learning, individual projects and that type of thing, the Word documents that you're speaking to. So there is some of that, but for all students, I think that would be a tremendous value to have some kind of resource where they could go and look to see, how to use Word, where to go for different research tools, because there are so many options and they're always changing. I think that's a great idea. And you and I can talk offline too about CTU specific types of things, but it's a great idea to have some kind of introductory orientation, kind of to prep students for how to learn. And I'll get to this in a little bit, but we've actually changed our kind of instructional, our course design in the College of General Education and Psychology to do just that, to help students learn how to learn, and that be kind of a one-time thing so that students know what to expect in each class. But I think that you're exactly right. There are a lot of variables out there. We need to connect with one another, right? That's part of who we are, especially, in the academic sense. We need to make connections with people. We want to learn information, but we want to also connect in a way where we have an understanding, we know a little bit about each other, and we want to promote that. There are some things that are involved in these connections. So how are we relating to each other? How often? How well? Are we, communicating well? Are we relating to each other? What's our tone like? How are we speaking to students and that type of thing? And again, it goes back to working toward those same goals, finding out what we have in common. Maybe a student's had a tough time in a science class before, and I say, I understand. I had a tough time in science too when I was younger, and that's why I liked it so much, is because it was such a challenge. So, leveling with the students, being transparent and honest. So some connection challenges with our students. It's hard in the online environment sometimes to make those connections. So we really have to be diligent. We have to be intentional about the way that we're connecting with students, because there's not a whole lot of opportunity to get to know each other sometimes. There aren't, in a face-to-face, you might run into each other, you might be on the same schedule, it might be lunchtime or coffee time, and you might be able to take a break and talk with each other and get to know each other better. It's not always the case online. We have to be intentional, we have to meet, we have to schedule a time, and that can be tough to do when there are competing priorities. And we can't see each other sometimes, which can make it difficult. So things like using a camera, making sure that we're camera ready, that we minimize our background distractions and things like that. But, my students love it when I talk about my dog. He's 14 years old. He sits here and he snores all during, our synchronous meetings and things like that. And they don't mind, it's life and it happens to all of us. And so going through that together can be a real benefit. With the connections, and I want to get your ideas here too on how can we improve our connections with each other, with students, and just some things to get you thinking about it. We have videos that we make. This is a video that I took from one of our units in the class. It's just an introduction to that unit. And so it's got me being goofy in the corner there, but we're talking about science, we're talking about population, agriculture, and the environment that week. And so I've got my Bitmoji, and my normal personality is pretty shy and pretty reserved, but I know in the classroom that I want to get students involved. I want to get them engaged and excited about what they're learning. And although I can relate to the ones who maybe don't talk as much, I want to provide them a good opportunity and an engaging opportunity to learn. We also can send messages, of course, emails and texts, even if your institution, however you deal with the texts, and then creating partnerships. So getting people to connect with each other, or maybe group work or that kind of thing. Social networking platform for students. That's a great call out, Robert. There is, to speak about CTU, students can now message each other through our new learning management system. There's also it's a Get Set community, which is a community for current students and also alumni, I believe. There's an alumni association as well. And the students can learn from the alumni and get tips and tricks and, inspiration from each other. So that is a great call out. It's important to network. I think we're all seeing the benefit of that, especially, post-COVID, we want to get back together. And so even in the online community, we're seeing that desire to get connected. So do we have any ideas for how to create connections? So yes, a platform where students can talk to each other is a great one. All right, I'll keep moving if nobody has anything. Oh, team projects. I love it. So Aziz, what do you teach and how many team projects do you do?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I do teach economics. So usually I like that was my informal goal first, like rule first, to have like one small team project or group work in each chapters. Like, for example, if I have 2 days per week, like classes like Monday and Wednesday, then my Monday it's more like interactions between me and entire group students. Then my Wednesday class, it's I let them work together to start to like discussing or doing some like small assignments on the chapter of the week, whether it will be applying that's concept into real life or just understanding that concept in the theoretical aspects, and then presenting that's what they find out during that small groups for entire class. So that was during the in-person modalities. When we moved during the COVID to the online modalities, then I start thinking about what we can do, how I can keep that my rule or my approach in that online classes. That's was a little bit hard at the beginning, but then I found out that there's a couple tools that I use. One of them very simple when I first used it was the Google Doc. Before like finding other tools, but anyway, that's I think that's good always in any like any subject, just telling student that I'm not lecturer. This is not class when you will just hear my lectures or watch my videos or just go through some presentation or my lecturing note. This is this class where you need to put your input by participating in small projects or teamworks or whatever it's required your some input. Then students should be ready and you will be ready to do that during all your classes. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. I think that's a great idea, and especially something like economics where you can do situational, work problems and determine what factors influence others. I don't remember a whole lot. I took macro a long time ago. Supply and demand, that was a relationship we always discussed. And so putting that on students to explore and to talk through would be a really valuable exercise. Yeah, teamwork is a great idea.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, in Zoom can, again, breakout rooms and that kind of thing can be used in Zoom to help students, to kind of take the instructor out of it sometimes and let students talk with each other, which can be a little awkward at first, but once they get used to it, they love it. We use Zoom for our synchronous meetings. We also record them, so students do have access to them. And at first there are a lot of crickets, and that's okay. I just kind of try to take my water and take a break. And once they get used to talking, they really do want to pitch in and talk about things that are important to them. So it really helps them relate to that material better. Okay, so making the difference. What are some things that we can do to help make that difference for students? Culture, again, isn't just a classroom. It filters all the way through. We identify our goals. We unify with our mission. We instill that confidence and competence in our students, especially, as I've talked through before, how my classes in particular are some of the first classes that students take at CTU. So we want to help them learn that material. Yes, that material is very important. But what's also really important is giving you that confidence to let you know that you can succeed, you can do this. You know, so even though you didn't like it when you were in high school, maybe, or your experience wasn't so great, this applies to you, and this is how, and you can do this. In our college, the College of General Education and Psychology, we instituted kind of a consistent student experience. We actually were assigned classes. We went through a class as if we were a student. So we actually, as lead faculty, were able to go through a class as if we were a student. And we identified a lot of obstacles. And in that exercise, it was so valuable. In that exercise, we determined that it would be so nice if things were a little more consistent between classes, because our classes are so fast. They're 5 weeks each, and often they're rolling. Like I talked about at the beginning, you know, we had a 5-week term followed by a next 5-week term, and they go back to back. So if the class is set up entirely differently, if the kind of assortment of assignments is super different, it makes it really hard to get into a groove and to feel comfortable. So we were learning that students had to learn how to learn every 5 weeks, and that was a lot. So instead, we determined that, you know, we would have a certain flow to the classes, and we started in our earlier classes and moved that all the way through, so that students could have a more consistent experience in the classroom, even though, of course, the course content is different and very unique to that specific course. The setup, the course design was very similar. So it reduced our variables, to throw in some science words there, which always helps, you know, in that comfort level and instilling that confidence. We're, again, also in continuous improvement. We say it a lot. It's really what we're about. We always want to upgrade and look for what's going to help. We often try things and maybe they don't work so well, or maybe, you know, we just keep looking, and when we try it out, and if it doesn't work, we go to something else. We're always looking to improve curriculum, the course structure, and help students learn how to learn, so that does not become an obstacle. So that's all kind of college level stuff. But we all know that the instructor has a major influence on the experience of the students. You know, oftentimes the instructor is their first person that they reach out to, especially if there's something that happens, if there is an incident, or, you know, they can't get their work done on time for a certain reason, or if they just need to talk to somebody, that instructor is often the very first person that they go to. So so that plays an important role as well. So I was going to plan on doing a breakout group, but we don't have a ton of people here, so we can just kind of roll with it and talk about this amongst ourselves. So, you know, I rolled through a couple of examples of what we've done as a college to try to help students, you know, with their confidence and competence in terms of a consistent experience, thinking through that student experience and how that changes week to week or term to term. What are some things that your colleges or departments have done to help create a more student-focused experience? Any ideas? Or anything that you think that would be valuable if they did do?
This is Aziz again.
Sure.
So I cannot speak on behalf of like a college, but I'm involved in some committees where we're working on different aspects related with how to teach effectively, or how to do that student-oriented curriculum and environment. But two things maybe I could mention here. First, it's about you as an instructor. So it's understanding this concept. So how do you understand that learner focused or student focused approach first? It's like, if you don't understand this, because you have so many like you have like a your freedom as an instructor to design your curriculum, to design your that class online or in person. And when you understand that concept, you can implement some really good tools or approaches to follow that concept, student-focused concept, I mean.
I love that. I love how, you bring out the point that, faculty, when they get involved in designing
Yeah.
the course, whether that's a subject matter expert, contributing their content knowledge, and really helping to, get involved
Yeah.
in the course design, that can be a huge benefit.
Yeah. And the
Mhm.
second part is really bringing it to your college or your department or some team around you. This is really important. I really did feel it specifically during that kind of COVID time, because you should communicate. For example, if you wanna use some specifically for with online classes, if you want to use some digital tools which could help into you with that increasing participation level or engaging your student in some assignments like near part or something, you should make sure that tools should be accessible for everyone. So in my experience, when we just moved that in 2020, when we just moved to online, I started searching for some tools. I found out that Nearpart is good tools, Kahoot is good tools just to use with my student, and they were happy. But I figured out it's not good for everyone. Then I start communicating with our teaching learning center and ask them if their accessibility expert could evaluate that tool. And we did it together, and they found out that there is some issues that could not be good to use with our classes. Then I brought this for our department chair, etc. And then so this like small examples could show you that if you as an instructor will take care thinking not only about your class, but also communicating with other entire college instructors, you could be more effective in your that's teaching approaches or your strategies and effectiveness of your classes. And also, if you find out something new which is good and you think this is very effective, again, bring it back to college or your department, then share, because it will help. That's you could help for your college or your team to use this tool and make their classes more effective, or make all your that's I like when in the beginning you ask us about mission of your colleges, right? So if you as an instructor could bring something small or effective for your college, that means you're making your contribution for your college mission too as well. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you. And you bring up some great points. So accessibility, finding something new out there, maybe that seems to work well for some students, and then bringing it back and saying, well, sometimes it works for some students, maybe, or some students have access to it, but maybe not all, maybe not enough students have access to it. So bringing that to the college, trying to, for example, at CTU, we talk frequently, all of our lead faculty for the College of General Education and Psychology. So the folks who have the very first class that students take all the way up through before they get to their program courses, before they go to get their bachelor's in computer science or whatever that might be, or nursing. And so those types of communications are so critical. So if we were to bring something up, here's a tool that might help. Could we get that involved in that first course, in that kind of orientation course, to help students get used to that or have access to it so that they can use that throughout their experience?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think every time we should check in about like most of that tools, specifically that's in the online classes, because yeah, it's really difficult for most students to get to understand, to participate, because it's not like that's traditional classes, in-person classes they adopted already. So yeah.
I totally agree. It can be very challenging sometimes. So even taking what might be a benefit from that tool and bringing that into the learning management system or whatever that might be for that college or university could also be, I know, have that positive impact. But yes, I'm making notes. That's why I keep looking down and taking notes for this. Another way that we can, let's see. Okay, thank you so much. So we have 10 minutes. Making the difference. So connection through communication. So again, we just talked about communication. We've been talking about it the whole time. Really, we haven't necessarily called it out, but that's really what it's about. Where are we communicating with our students? Are we using the best tools that we have? Our tone. So having empathy, compassion, and encouragement. Sometimes, you know, and I'm very guilty of this because again, I'm a science person and I like to solve problems. So when a student messages me or sends me an email and they say, I'm having trouble with this. And I say, you know, go to this, blah, 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 you know, go to this site and do this. And then I reread it and I say, oh my goodness, that doesn't sound like the way I meant it. I just wanted to write it quickly to help give you the answer quickly, but it didn't sound kind. I didn't say, hello, student, you know, so I really have to be intentional about the way my messages come across. And that can happen sometimes with science folks, but I'm very proud to say that these are all examples of things that I've taken directly from our science group. And you can see they're very expressive, they're authentic, and they're very effective. So I have a faculty here who, you know, she does the Bitmojis as well, and she's super encouraging and just has the greatest personality, and she just allows that to come through in her messages and in her communications with students. We also have trivia. So in our synchronous meetings, some folks use trivia questions. They try to get students involved. Not a skills test. It's just to get students participating in that chat and letting them see that they know this stuff. And just some excerpts here from some of our faculty talking with students. I'm sorry to hear what you went through, but glad you have been able to pull through and you're here with us today. So some students share some things, sometimes on a discussion board in a public forum that, or semi-public, I guess, but at the same time, you know, faculty need to respond to that and acknowledge, wow, you know, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so glad you're here. I have another example here. Taking care of a family, working full time, and going back to school is a lot on one person. But I believe that if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. What a great role model you are for your children. They should and will be very proud of you. So, you know, our instructors are constantly building students up and intentionally creating that connection with students to help encourage them through those tough times. And I have an example here of a faculty who really went the extra mile he does it all the time, but with this specific student. And I have it on this slide. It's a little different than the others because it was over text, which we were permitted to do. The student had approved that, so we were able to do that. And this faculty is super sciencey, right to the point. He's like, hey, student, 3 days left to complete your work for passing grade, even a good grade. Thank you for reaching out. I know you care. I really appreciate it. And he's like, you're so close to an A. Can you get that last lab in tonight? Please let me know. And then he extends that deadline. So he's constantly working with that student. And so by the end of that discussion, thank you. You by far have been the most responsive, supportive, and proactive instructor I have ever had. So sometimes just reminding people, hey, I'm here and I want to help you. Oh my gosh, you almost have an A. Can you just do one more thing? And so encouraging our students to meet their goals, to even surprise themselves and exceed their goals, can really be something that makes the difference for the student. So I know we're running short on time, but we can do a quick exercise here. So let's take the first example. A student is experiencing homelessness and is behind in class, but trying to catch up. We're in the last 2 days of class. So what kind of communication would you have with that student? We'll say her name is Lulu, because that's my daughter's favorite name for everything. So Lulu is experiencing homelessness. She's behind and she's doing her best. 2 days left. So what would we say to Lulu?
Leah, I'm just gonna jump in here because I'm at a community college, so this happens a lot with us. Like I have a student who contacted me like about a week ago saying that he's having problems with that. Sometimes we're restricted a little by the sense with the last 2 days. The last 2 days being, can you give this person an incomplete or not? So yeah, this was a hard one. If you had more time during the semester, it would be something different.
And it could be, depending on, maybe they're almost to that D mark or maybe almost to that C mark, and it's just a little bit more, just push through these last couple of days. I can help maybe give you a little extra time if it's within policy type of thing. But I love the comment here too about, you can do it. How can I help you? Do you have questions I can help you with? I can help you, guide you to where you can make the most points. If you do this assignment, you'll get the most, in return for your time. Yes, Aziz, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So the thing I was like, when you put this scenario, I did try to link to your session topic, because the thing is not about reacting, our reaction, what will happen in the last of 2 days of our session or our semester. I think the best answer for this scenario or question is what type of communication culture you already could implement in your class. If you could really had that if you got that good achievement, like creating good positive communication culture in your class, then maybe this will be very like good basis or good help for you and your student, that they will know that I could trust to my instructor. My instructor is open. I know the channels how to communicate with my instructor. It's like messaging, text, or email, and I know how fast they can respond to me. And I know that with any problem, I can communicate with my instructor, whether it's resources out of my class, etc. If you have like environment in your class, then it's maybe makes much easier to deal with such scenarios like you provided here with both of the scenario. This is about your entire topic, today's topic.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. And you're right, I forgot to even think about that. The foundation for this type of communication, where the student would be so comfortable to be vulnerable in that moment, is because throughout the whole session we've been communicating, and maybe the student hasn't written me back, but I keep sending those messages. Hi, Lulu, I'm here to help you. Let me know what I can do. And that really does give the student that comfort level and give them the confidence to know that they can trust you and that you are in their corner. So I really do appreciate that, that comment. And I know we're only down to 2 minutes. And so we're going to talk a little bit about technology and things like that, for maybe some tools to help, to help really bring to life and bring to our classroom some of these ways that we can engage our students. But I did want to share with you, so I'm sorry we cut the technology short, leave you with some parting thoughts here. These are just kudos that I give to my faculty every single session. And so I just pull comments from students. I get these right and left. It's so hard to pick because I get so many comments from students, and they're all about how the instructor made them feel, right? Wonderful sense of humor. I'm going to miss her class. She had me engaged. I returned to the live chat because I enjoyed the lessons. They just enjoy being there. Knowledgeable, organized, and a barrel of fun. He made learning fun and I enjoyed every moment. Let's see. It's a win-win to have an instructor who is skilled and astute at the art of teaching, and one who listens and genuinely cares about their students. Sorry, I had to move some windows around, but it's all about how we make our students feel. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. I know we're pushing it to the last minute here, but lots of great, ideas here and comments. So I really appreciate your participation. And just to let you know that those words that you speak into students don't come back without, a positive influence. We are, even if they don't write us back and say thank you, that those positive words strike a chord and make a difference. So just to encourage everyone to keep up those positive phrasing and positive comments toward our students. All right, well, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. There we go, everybody. And thanks so much, Kay. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Have a
you. Thank
good
you.
last
Come
session.
to Elk next year again, please.
Yes, and don't forget that inside of the chat is a survey, and Leah did so great. So you should definitely fill out the survey. Okay.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys so much, and I'll stop the recording.